Hello, day 18. Here we go. So it is actually quite late on the 18th. It is already 7:30 and I'm just now sitting down to even record the first clip for the day. And I've actually got to go get the kids to bed pretty soon and then I'll be back. But I was setting everything up. I've decided to work in this room tonight. And I have my big screen here on my Mac with a story up, and I'm going to have the Romancing the Beat Notion template that I have with my keyboard here. But then I also have my little Bluetooth keyboard and my iPad, which is where I'll actually be doing my writing. I have a printout of another story that I'm going to be looking at. And then I also have my note cards and a pen and 2 colors. So I've got hero and heroine because I'm going to be writing a romance. And just a kind of funny thing is that when I was cleaning up my desk, I found some photos of when I was in high school. So that was my senior photo. And then this, you can see the kind of house I grew up in. I grew up in a log cabin in the woods in Georgia that my dad built by his own hands, like very little help. And so a little country girl, we had no air conditioning, no heat, but this was my little homecoming senior year dress. And then this was my like senior year. We get to, I know a lot of seniors in small towns do this anyway. I don't know if they do this in big towns, but there was always like a big shed in one of the farm places that we got to go and decorate. And we also could like spray paint on the road. So I spray painted little road stuff. This is me just a sophomore in college checking into my dorm. This is me senior year in high school doing my recital for my singing recital. So just kind of fun to find some of those pictures because I actually lost the majority of my pictures in my second house fire because I had all of my photos in my closet, and the closet is where the fire came down through the attic and literally destroyed everything I had. So luckily I still had some photos that were not at that house. So anyway, that was fun. Another fun thing today is that I checked my mailbox and I got some books from some of my students from Publish and Thrive. And I am slowly putting together an entire section of my office that is just books from students in Publish and Thrive. And I also always buy an ebook of all my students just so I can have them. But I got this one that I love this cover, and I love the dust jacket and everything. This is really matte and beautiful. So this is The Last Refuge by Christina Basilieri. And I love this. It says, "Magic lies within. Is it a calling or a curse?" So well done. Congratulations to you. And thank you so much for sending me a copy. And then Abby Easton sent me her entire series. And this is really something I enjoy reading, which are kind of like cowboy romances, I think. So, or small town romances. This one just, he has a cowboy hat. I don't know if they're actual cowboy romances, but it says a Cypress Falls novel. And these are all so beautiful. And I love the picture of Abby on the back as well. So well done. Gorgeous. And all of the books are titled similarly with like Lovely Reckless Redemption, Lovely Relentless Refuge, and Lovely Shattered Secrets. And then we've got Lovely Broken Strength. So congratulations to you. I cannot believe you have so quickly finished an entire series. Like, I'm so proud of you, Abby. Thank you. This means the world to me when I get these books because I know, like, I think, you know, one of the notes here said I wouldn't have been able to do this without you. And like, I know you would have been able to do this without me. But the fact that I get to be a part of getting so many books into the world and helping you get your books published means a lot to me. So super, super fun little mail haul. And it's so funny. It's like, as soon as I got home, I got a message that a new thing had come in. So thank you to everybody who sends me happy mail. It just, I may not always mention it on camera, but it always means the world to me. I also have not been following through with picking out my washi tape. So I'm going to pick out some fun washi tape today, but I have been packing up, getting all the laundry done. I think we have done 10 loads of laundry today. And obviously George is helping. He's upstairs folding stuff right now, but we've got to get everything packed for a very early morning plane on Monday morning, which, by the way, because of that, unless I have time tomorrow night to edit the vlog, there may not be a vlog on Monday because we're traveling, or it'll come up really late. So we'll see. It might just be another sit down kind of chat that I can record tomorrow and go ahead and get up. But anyway, here's what I am doing tonight. So because I did not get time to write all day, I also didn't get my nails done. I literally have been putting a Band-Aid on this nail because it's so broken. It's like snagging on stuff and I haven't had any time. So tomorrow's the day I'm going to go get my nails done before we leave, please, Lord. I also haven't been able to find a place that can accommodate 30 or more people for our meetup on Wednesday. So I'm a little bit stressed about that, but I'm trusting it will come together. And then here's the real crux of it. So I did not quite finish Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw yet because I haven't had any time to write. So I've got, I think, 2 chapters remaining in that book. No, 3 chapters remaining in that book that I need to work on. But I also need to move my focus to getting this story done that's due November 30th. So I have 2 options. I worked on an idea last night with George to bring back in a I don't want you to go to sleep. To bring back in a character from Venom, which I talked about on yesterday's vlog. But sometimes I'm thinking about, I'm like, oh my gosh, that could be a whole novel, like 40 or 50,000 words. And I don't have time to write that before November 30th and get it edited. So I need something short, like 15,000 words. And so one of the participants suggested to me, why don't you just repurpose something else, like a short story? So I do have a short story that I wrote that actually introduces werewolves to my story world. And it was called Red. It's like a little Red Riding Hood retelling in a way, and it's 9,000 words, and the minimum for this project is 15,000 words. So if I could add 6,000 words and beef this up a little bit, then it would be viable too. And I think I could do that within the next few days and still stay on track. So what I'm going to do tonight, I may or may not get any words. But what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to take my template for Gwen Hayes's, this is just like a Notion template that I have here. You can see these little tiles here. This was made by, I believe, Robin Covington, and I don't know that I can share it, but I'll look on her website and see if she has it there to be shared. And if so, I will share it with you, or I will share her website with you. But if not, I don't know that I can share it with you, but it's just a Notion template that lists all the beats from Romancing the Beat, which I think I forgot to link yesterday, so I will link it today. And I am going to go through it. I won't be able to do every beat in detail because this is for a whole novel, but I can touch on beats and I can make it shorter for a novella. So I'm going to see if I can quickly plot out the rest of the beats that I would need for this Venom story and see if it's something I feel I could write super fast. Or if after going through Red, I feel like adding 6,000 words to this would be easier, because sometimes adding stuff to old work is harder. So I'm going to evaluate that tonight and I'm going to see. So I thought it would be fun to bring you along with me as I'm thinking through the plot of this story. But I have some decaf coffee with me in my favorite coffee mug that my mother-in-law got me a few years ago. It's a Hello Kitty little rainbow mug. And I've got to go upstairs and get Evie in the bath. But when I get back, I am going to get to work. Sometimes as a mom, I find it helpful, especially if I know I'm going to be working in pieces throughout the evening, or I've got to get myself motivated to write at night. I will go ahead and get everything set up and cleaned up and like ready to go and make the coffee. And I have a candle here ready to be lit, just so I've got that motivation, because if nothing is set up and then it's 9 o'clock before I get her down and I don't feel like it, I'm more likely to just not show up. And so now that I know it's all set up and waiting for me, it's much more likely that I'll come down here and get the work done. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, it's almost 9 p.m. I changed into my PJs. I will take my makeup off and everything after. I did a little bit of thinking while Evie was in the bath about the potential of the new story, which I am excited about, but at the same time, the time crunch that I have, and I need to set priorities. So started thinking it might actually be a smarter idea to just revise this story, this Red story. And in this one, it's 9,000 words, but there's no male POV. And so what I could do is go through and see if adding his point of view scenes would get me up to another 6,000 or 7,000 words in this thing. I was also thinking that it could be, so it's kind of a little Red Riding Hood inspired story, but it's set in my Shadow Demons world, and it's the first time you see a werewolf in the series. And it's character whose sister is sort of clairvoyant, and she sees this place that her sister needs to go to. So the main character heroine goes to this place, and there's a werewolf there that's trapped, and she lets him free, and they fall for each other. But it's short, right? So there's not a lot of time for character development. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read back through this and make some notes here about like what are some opportunities to add in his point of view and deepen the romance a little bit, as well as give them like one more little task that they need to do as they're getting away from the Order of Shadows. And maybe that will just be good enough. Sometimes we forget that like things don't have to be the best thing we've ever done. It just needs to be good. And it doesn't have to be brand new. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to fit the prescription for what it is you're trying to do. And it needs to be good enough. And this is a good story. And a lot of people really love this one. So it might be a good one to bring forward for this purpose. But I need to see that it's going to be good enough. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I have switched over to some just sort of bubbly water because I started getting too hot drinking the coffee. So candle is lit, notes are here. I'm going to get to work. Okay, so it's almost 9:30, and I do think that there is potential here for this red story to be redone, and I have 3 potential chapters I could add to it, and it's possible that those 3 chapters would get me to 6,000. I would need about 6,400 words to hit that kind of minimum of 15K. But I'm not as excited about going back to an older story. I wrote Red probably 6 years ago, and even though I like this story, I was more excited to write something new. It's just a matter of the timeline. Like, could I get together a new story and actually write it in the next 3 or 4 days with all the travel that we have going on? It's a lot. So I don't want to put too much on my plate. I should probably do Red, but I'm also going to take 15 or 20 minutes right now, since I was excited about that other story, to just go through it. So I'm going to talk you through my process. Obviously, in the Preptober planner, I have some outline sheets here. If you didn't download this because you aren't doing Preptober or whatever, feel free to go grab it. It's still in my newsletter, Heart Breathing's Writing Resource Library. And it has some plotting sheets in here, as well as the like Preptober November planner. So I've got those sheets here that I can write some scenes and other things on. And I also have the Gwen Hayes Romancing the Beat, and I couldn't find that on Robin's site. So I might reach out to her, or if you're watching this, Robin, let me know if that's something that you sell or give away or anything like that. But for now, I have no links to share with you. But I was kind of going through them again. There are 20 beats listed here. But of course, if I'm aiming for 15,000 as a minimum, kind of 20K for myself as a maximum, then I have written down that I'm going to aim for about 8 scenes, or 8 chapters, or however that would work out, because then they'd each be maybe around 2,000 words a piece. And I know that at the beginning, we need to meet the hero, meet the heroine, and that is going to establish who they are, what's their like wound, as the way Gwen puts it, like they're going from a hole in their heart to a whole heart, to being wholehearted. So at the beginning, they've got some reason that they don't feel that they're worthy of love, or that they can fall in love. They don't want love. They've either been hurt in the past, or they don't believe they're capable. There's got to be some reason that they're going to resist love. And that becomes the romance arc in and of itself. So we have to introduce these 2 characters individually and find out what they want from life, what is their current situation, and why have they kind of cut themselves off from love. So we're going to learn that from the beginning. And because I have less words to work with than a 70,000 word romance novel, it's going to happen pretty quickly. So that would be the first thing. Marco would be my hero. He is a character from my Sacrifice Me series that works at a club called Venom. And he is somebody that Rind, who owns the club, has raised from a child. Now, Rind is thousands of years old, but Marco is like 25. And so he's not quite as old as Rind. And he really wants to be left with more control over the club sometimes, because Rind is getting even more busy as the war against the Order of Shadows heats up. And this, of course, ties into my Shadow Demon saga, but this would be standalone as well. So Marco wants responsibility at the club. There's a lot on the line because there are specific rules and ways that this club has to operate. So the club itself exists outside of space and time, but there are entrances from multiple cities. So you walk through a door in Chicago, you end up in Venom. You walk through a door in Tokyo or Paris, you end up in Venom. And so there are people and paranormal creatures and supernatural creatures of all kind that meet up in this club. So kind of think of it like the Continental in John Wick, where it's like you've got these assassins or other people that show up here, but they aren't allowed to fight or assassinate or have any kind of violence on the grounds of that particular place. This is very similar to that. I think I wrote this before John Wick. Sacrifice Me. But so it didn't really come from that idea, but it's kind of a common idea, I think, in urban fantasy and things like that. So anyway, Marco has a responsibility to make sure that nobody messes around with the rules just because Rind isn't there. So he's kind of trying to prove himself. But then I would also need to really deep dive into like, why does he not feel that he's capable of love or that love will ever find him? So I'd need to work on that a little bit. Then our heroine, who is yet unnamed, is somebody who is a sort of creature that I've never introduced in this series before. So we have fae in this world, but we haven't ever met a siren before. And so I was thinking about bringing in a siren as a type of fae who is very rare and in fact believed to be completely extinct. And she might be half fae, half siren, half human. And she has been sort of captured. I have some ideas. I won't go too deep into it in this video. You can go read it because it will be available for free. But she has to work for somebody that is sending her in to assassinate someone inside this club. And of course, we know that if she succeeds at assassinating this person, then she will die by order of Rind, who doesn't allow that in his clubs. So there's high stakes already for this. But the minute she walks through the door, of course, Marco is immediately attracted to her. But her charms don't work on him because of his particular paranormal makeup. He is immune to it. And no one has ever been immune to her charms before. So that opens up some kind of meet cute situation where she's surprised about that. And then also introduces some high stakes for the fact that she's trying to break the rules in his club when he needs to make sure that nobody breaks the rules, right? And that already sets them up at a good conflict between each other. And of course, she can't fall in love because she belongs to someone else. And so she's been brought up to believe she is a tool and nothing more. And she can never, she's not allowed to make friends. She's not allowed to get close to anyone. That her life really is in service to this other person or this organization. And she can't do anything about it. And I'm thinking they also maybe have her little sister or her mother or someone else in her family captive. So she can't just be like, okay, I'm never going back there again. So I think this attempt to assassinate someone is going to be thwarted by Marco, but just barely, to the point where everybody there is like, oh my gosh, she almost just killed this guy. Rind isn't here. You know, what's going on with these rules? So that compromises things with Rind. And so in order to make it up to him, and this is where we would kind of get into the adhesion plot thrust, which is the end of Act 1, Marco has to make it up to Rind by investigating whatever was going on with this woman and setting her free so that she can pay her debt to the club. So that would put them kind of where they're in this story together one way or another, but they have definitely said, well, this isn't the person that I want to be with. You know, maybe they're like mad at each other. He's angry that she's jeopardized his place in this organization. She's mad that he thwarted her attempt because now he's put her family in danger. And I think that would be really good conflict between the two of them. So then I would need to go through sort of the second, third, and fourth part of this and see if by scene 4, they need to be well on their way to whatever investigation they need to do to try to defeat this other person, which of course they'll be stuck to each other's side throughout this whole story. So I'm going to sit down for the next 15 minutes or so and see if I can make this into a really good romance story or not. And so we'll see if it seems more exciting, because sometimes working on old stories takes longer than just starting something fresh. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, I have a basic outline. So what I did here was I just wrote out what I think those 8 scenes will be. There's some doubt about some of the conflict once they go to save her family, but I think the main conflict between them, how they clash with each other, which I think is important in some romances at least, is that he is very much like, he's super loyal to the code. He's super loyal to Rend. He has seen evil in his life and he wants to fight against evil at all costs. And she doesn't trust anybody. Like, Marco has his family. They trust each other, like not his real family, but his found family. They trust each other. They're in this together. They work together, and that's where he's coming from, even though he was betrayed by someone, in his past life. But she knows nothing but betrayal. She can't trust anyone. She does what she has to do. She's a real survivor when it comes to, I will manipulate and deceive whoever needs to be deceived in order to get what I want. And that is very much not who Marco is. He's like, I will stay loyal and true to the people that are my people, and we will fight against evil. So he thinks that she has no moral code and that she's just deceptive, and that, Rend should hang her out to dry, even though he's attracted to her. And so when Rend puts them together, there's that feeling of like, well, I'll help her because my people said I'm going to help her. But she's all the time trying to deceive him and manipulate him to get what she wants, but she doesn't really believe that he's there to help her. And I think that will be the core. And of course that will change and flow as the story goes. But I have those main 8 beats there. Then I also like to take a little triangle here and say, where are they at the beginning of the story? Where's their character arc at the middle? Where's their character arc at the end? And I think for him, he is also a survivor kind of guy. Like, he's been through a lot, but he wants so badly to be like Rend, but he feels like, I'm not strong enough for that yet. Or Rend doesn't think I'm strong enough. And so then in the middle, he's going to be tested with that. And then at the end, he's going to think like, I don't have it fully figured out, but I think he's loyal, but he's not necessarily willing to be vulnerable and soft. And she they're going to have that moment. It's going to change him in that way. With her, she's very much the survivor kind of person. She's closed off. Like, my life doesn't matter. It's just a matter of survival. And she doesn't trust anybody. But in the midpoint, her mirror moment is going to be like him surprising her and her thinking, what if I could learn to trust somebody? And then by the end, she's going to wholeheartedly trust him and probably become a part of the Benham family. So that is what I have so far. And that's just the way that I like to work through things. And with a romance, I feel like it's much more focused what you need to work through, because it's not just about the plot. It's about these 2 characters and what makes them clash and what makes them come together and sort of break down each other's walls, and what makes them the perfect pair to like, why is she so perfect to change him? And why is he so perfect to change her? Or I don't know if change is the right word, but to make them break down their walls so that they can see a different life ahead of them. So I have some notes, 4 little note cards, and it's getting pretty late and George said he isn't feeling great. It's already 10. So I've just started a new document here and I'm going to pull this on. I'm just going to write here in my, on my iPad, and I'm just going to write out my initial thoughts on this and the very first scene and just see if this feels like it's going to flow. And if it is, I'll just commit to this instead of redoing that red story. And if it just feels hard to get into these characters' heads, then I'll do the other thing. And that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. Tomorrow is going to be a big packing day. I have to get my nails done, like get everything ready to go. And so I know I'm not going to have a ton of time, but it would be really nice to get whatever story I'm going to be working on as far down the road as I can so that I can work on it on the plane. So we'll see how far we go. I got 22:59, so I have been sitting here writing for a little over an hour and I like it. I like this story. I like being back in Venom, and even though I feel like it's probably smarter to work on the old story, I'm just gonna write something new. So let's just pray that I can get it done on time and edit it on time, and I feel like I'm always on a race against the clock. And you know, sometimes I feel like it's a benefit to have a ticking time clock, an outer accountable, like I work well with outer accountability and deadlines sometimes. So it's helpful because it gets me writing and it makes me motivated to get it done within a certain period of time instead of working on it for 2 or 3 years. But at the same time, the deadlines add stress to my life, and I'm already stressed going to see my in-laws, packing up all the kids, going to travel, daily videos, like there's a lot going on. So I'm just going to try to focus on the joy part of this and not focus solely on the timeline. So I'm 22:59 in, although some of that was more outlining words, which I'm going to count anyway. And then tomorrow I'll see if I can get significantly further, and I'll just keep working on it for the rest of next week. And also when I get a chance while we're there, I'll probably sneak away and also work on Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. I don't really know at this point how much of these projects, like this one needs to be done or I have to back out. And I really don't want to do that. So this one needs to be done by the end of the month. Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw might go into December, and I'm not feeling great about that, but there comes a time when it's like there's nothing else I can do other than push myself past a healthy point. So I'm holding back the frustration, trying to lean into the joy side of it and just keep working. So I hope you're finding some joy. I hope this was kind of interesting to see how and talk about the plot of this story. I don't know if this made any sense because I'm kind of tired, but tomorrow what I will do is fill out my note cards in a little bit more detail, get packed up to go, hopefully please going to get my nails done so that I can go feeling good. And then I can keep working on this story and we'll just see where we end up tomorrow. All right, I'll see you then. Happy writing. Good night.